So good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the WoT Pro League Season 3, Matchday 16. And obviously we have some great games coming up for you today. But well, let's give you a little bit of a recap as to what we had just the last play day, because it was a good couple of games. There's been a few upsets as well, but nothing too drastic. We saw the way it was supposed to go, really. Spale did manage to take down Evil Panda Squad, which is a bit of a surprise. But outside of that, I think it went the way it should do. Yeah,
there's not really any big surprises. I mean, okay, I guess the biggest one you mentioned was Evil Panda Squad against Spale. Obviously, Evil Panda Squad took second at Gamescom and losing against Spale, which is a team that didn't even qualify there. So I guess that's the biggest one. But other than that, everything really went as expected. I thought Playing Ducks might have picked up a couple more rounds.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously going 5-0. So I guess that's the other one there.
Yeah, so let's have a little look towards today's game so you can see what you'll be watching in just a moment. Obviously, Denova and Mouse Sports, Kaz and Crew, Evil Panda Squad, Spale and Odin Mortis will be playing, and we'll try and get you some updates towards those games, but the ones we will be watching are the best ones going. Team Dignitas, the team is at the very top, facing off against Ulanska Fantasia, who've been slowly but surely challenging some of the big guys out there in this league. And then following that, we'll be watching Team WD challenging the Playing Ducks. Now, we do have a little bit of something different lined up for you guys to enjoy in today's show. Not only the pumpkins that we did do, they look a little bit worse for wear at the moment, I assure you. That one's mine, by the way. Just going to point that one out there, not Oliver's dire attempt.
Oh,
we tried to hide it away, but apparently it snuck back in. But anyway, we kind of looked over the last Playday games. You did mention, some of the games we thought might have gone a little bit closer, but actually in the matches, they were very hard fought for, weren't they? Yeah,
they were really close games. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day what the scoreline is. It's more about how close the games were when they're actually playing on the map. So yeah, they were pretty close.
They were. And with that in mind, just in case you're not sure of what you might be getting today, we've got a video of what happened in that last match day. So good evening, guys and girls, and welcome once again to the WoT Pro League Season 3. Eclipse, Lucas both keeping eyes down, trying to get those shells, but only 10 seconds left. And I believe at the moment Evil Panda Squad do have the advantage unless a shell comes flying through any second. Oh my word, it's been reset, but can they stop theirs? Currently it's Spale with the advantage, 1 second left. I believe it's going to be Spale winning this one. And well, Evil Panda Squad could do nothing about it. Now Muppety surrounded by the Pandas. They're coming in one by one. The flag is being capped. Stunning shot from Dieri finding Eclipse in that IS-3, but still Ace is not stopping. 1 minute and 26 to deal with every single threat left from Spale. I think they've got enough time to do this, but Agha coming around behind Ace could really cause an upset here. But we are seeing the exchange going down. There's the counter push. Ace is in trouble. 92 HP. Moki Illumi and Euralfish just slamming him to the ground. There's nothing Evil Panda Squad can do. They did not expect that counter play to come out of Evil Panda Squad. And right now, they are in trouble. Iceman needs to back away. He's got 2 tanks staring him down. QQ just being focused down towards Siege. There's that kill coming in. That's Iceman eliminated. Playing Ducks are being ripped to shreds. It's not going well. Look at their HP in the top right, it's not looking good. And FC Dynamo not happy with what he's done so far. He wants more, as does Bad News. The fire continues, they've taken down Playing Duck solo, scarring down to minus 100 HP. He's out of 75, he's got to try and get his way out of this somehow. Phoenix pushing forward, oh, he's got the perfect shot onto Scarin. He's going down, oh my word, lovely play from Denova. Wu could do nothing about it. He's trying to adjust, but QQ's come around on the flank. Nice play from him, really instinctive stuff. He's going to take down Phoenix, and that's really cool. Bad News stand in the way. 2 tanks sitting in perfect position. International finally shows up, and he's got around the back of them. Siege swiftly turns around, but Wu's already down to 300 HP. He's going to be taken low. He's been taken out with a lovely crossfire from Dynamo. Siege is now the next target. It's 1 shot, and it's International to land it. And Denova are so in the advantageous position now. It's disgraceful. Denova have stamped their dominance over this game, showing exactly why everyone thinks they're the team to be dethroning the likes of Virtus Pro and Dignitas, picking up a 5-0 victory. Incredible play. Incredible play. Wow, that was a real nice little recap there of what an incredible play day we had. And if you did enjoy that, make sure you head over to the WoTProLeague.com site to see the full VODs there, as they are all completely available. And yeah, that was a little bit of a treat to have a little watch back of that one.
That was very nice. Apart from the 0.3 seconds to hear my voice, but otherwise it was pretty good.
Yeah, we try and keep him down to a minimum after that disgraceful display of pumpkin carving.
Yeah.
But aside from that, with that match day in mind, let's head towards those rankings to see how this season is shaping up, because we've seen some good changes here and there. We've seen a lot of teams kind of cooling off as well.
Yeah, they've really started to go up and down. We can see the kind of where we're going towards the end of this season, which our top 6 will be going to the offline finals. I think the most interesting is Mousesports starting to head up the leader table. They've had a really rocky start to the season, but that's kind of Mousesports in a nutshell. They always seem to have a rocky start, same as Season 1, same as Season 2. But after a couple of good wins, and especially WoT Pro and Team Dignitas, they're starting to head up, and that's 5th position for them at the moment. I guess the other one to mention is Kazan Crew, which is our 3rd place finisher at Season 2 finals, sitting down in 9th place, not really picking up those wins. 5 wins to 8 losses. They've really got to start getting their team together. I'm not sure exactly what the problem is with that team at the moment. They have the skill, they have the players, and they have the players from last season. Not really that many changes. So I don't know. Either the caliber of the teams has just gone up in general, so they're getting pushed down, or maybe they're just having some internal problems. I have no idea.
Yeah, interesting stuff going on there. So let's give you an idea of who we'll be seeing today, just quickly vocally, before we go anything. Don't worry, I've got a little bit of a panicked producer looking at me. We will be watching Dignitas, who is in that 1st position, facing off against Ulanska Fantasia. That'll be the first game, because I feel as though the ranking doesn't represent the skill between those two, because they're so far away. Yeah, Ulanska Fantasia have been having those really, really close games with those top teams. So I'm looking at those guys to cause an upset, get themselves back up there, because, well, at the moment, Kazan Crew playing Ducks, they're not that far away. So it's not exactly a big leap for those guys to, really step up their game and get back into this season. And I like seeing, new teams doing that and really kind of getting into their own and really showing what they're made of. But anyway, our slot aside, I know you guys at home missed a certain someone who sadly couldn't have been with us in the last show. We had to pull in some random guy off the street and just said, give out some gold and bonus codes. And he did well. But, well, we thought we'd bring her back, because you guys clearly did miss her. Melly, how are you feeling? Are you feeling a little bit better today? Are you back with us and feeling 100%?
Much better, yes.
That's what we like to hear.
I'm always happy when I'm here, so I'm feeling a lot better when I'm in my nice seat and surrounded by nice people. So it's awesome to be here. So, well, obviously, I'm Melly, and I'm taking care of our social media handlings tonight. And I also want you to be part of our show, whether it's taking part in one of our challenges or tweeting us. We love tweets from you. We love hearing from you. So keep on tweeting by the use of hashtag WoT Pro League. And also follow our Twitch channel to get notified as soon as we air. So you won't miss any minute from then. So follow us. It's very important. And of course, head over to our social media platforms on Facebook and Twitter and follow and like them as well. So I already put up a poll on Facebook where you have to vote for either Team Dignitas or Ulanska Fantasia. So just to see the trend of the community, and also make sure handing in your predictions in the comments below, because by participating in our challenge, you can win bonus codes, of course. I will be also rewarding 3 tweets of the day, and those tweets can be questions to our experts, or if it's regarding the games, the matchups, the teams, or anything what's on your heart, just ask them and I will ask your questions for you. So, yeah, since it's Halloween, we prepared a special challenge for you guys at home. And we also prepared our very own contributions, which are
questionable.
Steven's the one who tried hard.
Yeah. He's a tryhard, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah, but we know that you can do better. So I will give you 1 week from now to hand in your pumpkin carvings. It should be World of Tank themed, so surprise us. A crazy amount of gold is on the line. You can win a lot of cash, in-game cash, of course. And we will be also uploading every submission on our Facebook page, so e-fame is guaranteed. And I think that's one more reason to check out our Facebook page.
Yeah, nothing's stopping them, really. They should definitely head over and check that one out. You'd do it, right? You'd do
Of
it.
course.
We made Melly cover Pumpkin as well. Which one was hers? Wait. Is this one?
It's that
Here
one,
we go,
yeah.
right
the one
there.
with the bush in it.
She made like a bush in there. It's got this
Yeah.
little
She's
T1
got a shell
tank
as
and the
well.
shells fly.
Yeah.
She went all out on that one. But yeah, Melly did really good on that. But you guys, there's nothing stopping you guys doing even better at home. And obviously, there's a little bit of an incentive on the line. So get to work, get your little carving knives out and get those pumpkins ready to go. But anyway, back to the games today. We do have a very good game to start with. Let's get to that head-to-head, if I can say my words right. And it's going to be Dignitas up against Ulanska Fantasia, and take us through the lineups.
Well, Team Dignitas are first at the moment, and Ulanska Fantasia are 10th, so that's quite a big difference, like 10 times different. So I think we can kind of give our predictions towards Team Dignitas for this one. But we got the Stalker as the team captain for that team, and standout players, I think, pretty much the whole team. We've got Angel Killer, Apple Wow. Personally, my
Big
favorite.
fan of Apple
yeah,
Wow.
my favorite is Apple Wow. He's such a good AMX 1390 player. He really does take it to the next level. And of course, Shanish, their resident T69 player. So those two, I definitely would keep an eye on. They're definitely going to be the ones who are going to be making the plays and really, putting the pressure on the other team. They never make a mistake. That's really interesting to see. And for Ulanska Fantasia, maybe your eyes won't be so used to seeing them. We got some old star players like Crazy Ketchup. Obviously, Rabio PL is the team captain there, and Atris 666. If you remember Panzerfist, he came from that team. So generally, I think Ulanska Fantasia not having the worst start of the season, sitting in 10th. They could go one down with Team WD with one win, 12 losses, but. They're new to the season. They're new to the Pro League format. Yeah, and they really need to just get some consistency in the game, because they have done well before. They've beaten Mousesports, who are sitting in 5th and obviously came 3rd in the first season of the World Tanks Pro League. So I'm looking forward to see what they can do against Team Dignitas. They are a little bit of a giant slayers. They are capable of winning. So yeah, really up for this one.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how that one really pans out there. So, guys, let's start looking towards those tank picks, because I do believe they are almost ready, and this is going to be a close game. First map will be Himmelsdorf, and we know how that normally goes when you get Dignitas on that one. So, Ulanska Fantasia really are going to have the trial by fire more than anything. And what's your predictions towards this?
I think Team Dignitas will probably win it 4-1.
4-1.
Yeah.
That's respectable. I think like a 3-2. I really like the way Ulanska Fantasia have been playing. I think they've been getting some really good results. Obviously, taking down the likes of Mousesports was really impressive, and certainly something you've got to be proud of right there. So, well, you might just have noticed we do have that new tank picking screen as well. So do let us know your thoughts towards that, especially because we're trying to get these new things into the show. And if you're liking them, do tweet at the WoT Pro League, obviously. But take us through the tank picks, because we're seeing an interesting pick coming out, actually.
Yeah, we got the T1 AMX 5100 from Ulanska Fantasia at the beginning, the double T1 from Team Dignitas. So I think Team Dignitas are just going to go for the normal tier 8, Russian and French tank lineups. They're not going to go for anything too unusual. That's definitely not their style. But Ulanska Fantasia definitely pushing out the boat here a little bit. They got the T1 and that Chinese tier 8 tank, the 110 as well. So that could be an interesting pick. We've seen it a couple of times before in Himmelsdorf, never really proving its worth compared to 5100 and IS3. So it'll be interesting, at least. Double 5100 from Team Dignitas is their next one. They're, as predicted, just going for the standard set of tanks here. So
I do want to ask you a quick question on that. Why would they go for the 110 over, let's say, the more usual picks that we see on Himmelsdorf by now?
It's just because of that frontal armor. It has significant more than the IS3, but it's kind of shaky, because the IS3 can still penetrate the front of it with no problem at all. 265 penetration. It'll go through that 110 like butter. But it does increase the chance of it bouncing. Okay. So when you angle it properly and maybe you rush your shots and you hit the frontal glaciers, then it can actually bounce something. So it definitely increases your chances of getting lucky and not getting any damage on you. But how much is that really worth it? Is the IS3's gun, it's so good, that BL9, is it really worth taking a 110 with a slightly worse gun? So I have no idea. But obviously, Team Dignitas have done their research, and they seem to go for the IS3 over the 110. So 5100 and the double 5100 actually coming out from Ulanska Fantasia. So apart from that 110, I think they're just going to go for the normal setup. Double IS3 from Team Dignitas as well. So far for that team, double IS3, double 5100, double T1. I think they're going to go for the triple IS3 here. Actually, Ulanska Fantasia are going to go for 2 110s. So they're going two Chinese tanks. That's something we've never seen before. We've seen
so
one.
they're literally replacing the IS3 here.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're just removing the IS-3 completely, going for that frontal armor. That's going to really help them along the banana, the 8-line, whatever you like to call it.
Yeah.
But how much, we'll have to wait and see. It's really up to you guys at home if you think it's worth it as a pick. If you've played it before, you'll obviously know. IS-3 is going to be the last pick for Ulanska and Tajia. 5100 is going to be the last pick from Team Dignitas. So Team Dignitas is actually going for the triple MX5100, double IS-3, double T1, while Ulanska and Tajia are going for the double 110, IS-3, double 5100, double T1.
Yeah, very interesting choices here. Really cannot wait to see how that 110 performs in this matchup. Obviously, comparing against Dignitas, who've gone for that standard, normal kind of start to things, it's going to be a real test for this tank, especially in, they've got some safe hands there. Ikarium's always done really well, so I am looking to see what he can do here. But guys, I do believe they are ready. So let's start that video rolling towards Himmelsdorf.
Himmelsdorf is the city maps of city maps. It's a small one, being 600 by 600 meters. There are 3 routes of attack: the hill, the banana, and the train side. The middle area is relatively easy to push, however can end up in disaster as you can be flanked from every side. The road, often called banana, allows for direct head-on assaults but requires a lot of resources. Both the railroad area and the road next to it are good routes of attack, being very open and straight. However, for those very same reasons, you can be easily caught out and taken down. The map features many densely housed areas, which provides good places for engagements and routes of attack. Teams must be aware of the various routes their opponents can take through the map, as well as the hull-down positions enemies can take throughout the entire map. The trick with Himmelsdorf is to catch an enemy tank unsupported by his teammates and then use that advantage to collapse on the entire enemy team.
So welcome into the first map. It will be Himmelsdorf, and we are going to be seeing the likes of Dignitas facing off against Ulanska Fantasia. Dignitas will be in the north in that delightful blue, and in the south in the golden yellow. It's going to be the underdogs here. So what are we seeing so far from Team Dignitas?
So Team Dignitas just spreading their tanks out along the 8-line, putting a couple up the hill as well, and obviously a couple on the 1, 2, 3 line. It's more of just a split. We'll have to see how that one works out, because obviously they like to play pretty predictably. They don't like to do anything too unusual at the beginning. They like to get the information before they move on. But Ulanska and Tajia are going for that 8-line push.
Yeah, they're getting straight in there right now. I'm kind of curious to see where they want to go from here. Mace and Slim the Greatest have pushed right. They've spotted out Armley straight away, so that was the initial pick there. But they've got a good kind of foothold towards the central reservation of this map. They've spotted out 2 players. They've made it 3 now with that tier 1 being spotted. But still, I want to see where they can take it from here, because I always enjoy the situation as it unfolds.
Yeah, well, they have to be careful that Team Dignitas don't get themselves too comfortable around them, because if they do, then they're going to really punish them. And obviously, the first shot does go into favor of Ulanska Fantasia. They hit one of the Team Dignitas. But he's got to be a little bit careful, because if you decide to flank around on Himmelsdorf, then you split up your tanks. And if you split up your tanks, you can get easily taken down very quickly. But Applewild's gone pretty aggressive. He's got the 5100 behind him of, I believe, Pavel. But they're not really going too aggressive. They're more like keeping the 1, 2, 3 line safe, making sure there's nothing really deciding to push out there, because it was a common tactic before, and you just decide to push up that 1, 2, 3 line at the beginning of the game. Obviously, that's been kind of replaced with the 8-line push, but it's still a capable tactic. Shanish is just going to go around, take down that T1. So first blood going to Team Dignitas.
Yeah, not bad start for Dignitas, but they have received a fair bit of damage, but as have Ulanska Fantasia. Rabio PL got knocked down off that ideal HP, as did Cesar there, as we saw that push coming up from Appleweld. But most of the exchanging going down on that banana. Slim the Greatest in that 110, still sitting very pretty. He got that shell connecting towards Garat early on, so they are working down some of Team Dignitas, and they're doing fairly well for themselves, considering how aggressive they played it.
They just need to be careful that they can continue that consistency, keep the pressure on. They don't give Team Dignitas any time just to recover and get themselves back, because if they do, then that's when the Russians really punish you. If you let them play their normal tactics, their normal style, then they just come up with some genius moves, some really good pushes, some really insightful plays. But if you just push on and you really catch them by surprise, they really struggle to come up with anything to really reply with. But it looks like Pavel's just going to be pushing on to the T1, removing him from the equation. That'll make both of the T1s going down for Ulanska Fantasia, and that's pretty bad, because on Himmelsdorf, it's all about that T1 play, you know, putting him in the cap, getting that pressure on, the three-dimensional pressure. You know, you have the firefight, and then you have 2 tanks capping. That means you don't need to win the firefight.
Yeah, but we're seeing a strange 3-2 split here. The 3 tanks, excluding those 110s, have now split back. So that's, you know, Ikari and Rabio and Cesar. But these two are still, you know, trying to test their luck against Garat. They have taken him fairly low into 8-1-8, but surely it's not the ideal place to move up. But I'm really curious as to where they want to take this counterplay towards now. Well,
they just need to make sure that they sit back a little bit. You know, counterplay is fair enough from Team Dignitas, but they've got the 2 T1s. They've got at least 1 T1. That's the basic thing for Himmelsdorf. Make sure you have 1 T1 left. Yeah, make sure you have a little bit of background pressure for them. But it looks like Ulanska Fantasia kind of sitting back a little bit. That 8-line push hasn't gone too well. And Applewell is going to try and get taken down by the 5100.
Yeah, this is a troublesome sight. Applewell playing haphazardly. He's down 3-1-2. Make it 42. He's going to fall down so early on. That is a real rarity there. Povel now quickly moving in, trying to find a carry. He's going to be crossfired down by Cesar, but you can see the cap has begun. Dignitas doing their usual, but they're not winning the firefights just yet, but Ikarium's been tracked. He's held in place. Slim the Greatest has found Shanish, so they're keeping on par. If Povel goes down, they're in trouble, and Cesar coming straight in. He's going to be getting it in place, and my word, this could be Dignitas really in trouble. And Cesar's done just that. Amelie is the next target of focus, and that cap pressure has been alleviated. And right now, this is a rare, rare sight.
Unbelievable play from Ulanska Fantasia, just really taking it to Team Dignitas, and so many mistakes from that team. Actually, Maj just ramming out the IS3 there, just incredible. Only Amelie left in, and to be honest, it didn't look like Team Dignitas actually turned up to this map at all. They kind of came in a little bit half-hearted, and they pushed a little bit strangely. And Ulanska Fantasia, they had that pressure along the 8-line, they had the pressure back in their base, the defense there. So every kind of way Team Dignitas went to push, there was always an answer from Ulanska Fantasia.
Yeah, and this, I cannot believe it, but Mace is now hunting down that one remaining player. He's still playing carefully. He doesn't want to go stupidly aggressive. He's seen the trouble that can come of that. So we are seeing Rabio going on the split push here in that 5100, trying to spot him down. And Amelie has been found out by Cesar as he's been making his way across that central reservation. He could take down Cesar here if he plays this one correctly. 4-4-6 left towards him. He has managed to track him and hold him in place. Here comes the cavalry, and there's the killing blow. Mace Laddie and Ulanska Fantasia picking up the first map here. Dignitas undone on Himmelsdorf. Rare as you like, you'll never see that one again. But my God, they did that well.
Yeah, they just played it really well. I mean, they caught Dignitas by surprise, which is exactly what you want to do. You know, had that pressure up the 8-line, they had the defense. Team Dignitas tried to push forwards. They got the IS3 completely on its own, just pushing forwards. It had no support from anyone. I have no idea what they were trying to do there. It's almost like they were going in blind.
When did Applewell ever push in like that as well?
No idea.
He had no discipline.
No.
That is not Applewell that we know. That guy's a beast normally.
Yeah, it was odd. It was really strange. It wasn't like Team Dignitas were actually playing their tanks, and it was quite weird.
Yeah, very strange sight to see, but to take nothing away from Ulanska Fantasia, obviously, they deserved that. They played it well, they played it clinically, they worked well, you know, as individuals and as a collective, but you never see that sort of thing coming out from Dignitas. But today, clearly something's really not going well. Maybe they're getting a little bit scared early on, and, you know, maybe they didn't do well on the trick-or-treating early, and they're a bit upset, and their goodie bags aren't been filled up as they'd like. But still, very curious start here. Bit of a rarity, but of something that I like to see. Good little upset going on, and I do like Ulanska Fantasia at the moment. I've said it before, they can challenge the big guys, but I did not expect it on Himmelsdorf of all maps. You know, this is a strong one for Dignitas. They're always so, you know, good. They always have that backup plan. There's nothing there.
And really Himmelsdorf is just like the map where you really prove if you can play World of Tanks or not.
Yeah.
If you can't play that map, then you can't play any map. It's just the basics. You know, defending your heavy tanks, making sure you're blocking, making sure you're hitting the shots, and just getting the pushes on. So, yeah, I have no idea what happened then. That was a little bit strange.
Very strange.
Good play for Ulanska, though.
Yeah, can't take anything away from them. Definitely worth a watch back. I'm going to be watching that one back as soon as I get home, probably, just to try and find out what actually they did so right then. But still, Ensk will be the second map. Now, we've seen we saw the city map just in a moment ago. This is a bit of a hybrid still. We've seen that green area coming into play, you know, specifically to a certain amount of teams. But I'm not sure if Dignitas would be one of them. Would Ulanska Fantasia be one of those to use that green area?
I think Ulanska Fantasia certainly will. It just depends on really which team spawns to north or south. If you start from the south, it's a little bit easier to go towards the green zone. From the north, it's more about that just defending in the later stage of the city in the third quarter. So I think honestly, I think Ulanska is going to go over there. They're going to try and put some pressure there. But for Team Dignitas, it's more about just playing that normal like tank lineup. It's a lot more about playing predictably and just making sure you get all the basics down. Obviously, having lost Himmelsdorf, they don't want to be losing a second map as well.
Certainly not. So as you can see there, we are into the tank pick screen, and we are seeing another 110 coming out. They're really liking this pick here for Ulanska Fantasia. What?
Seems to have worked, so fair enough.
Who am I to doubt it? That really paid off last time. How do you think that's going to come into effect here?
I think it's going to be an interesting pick. I mean, I would have thought the 110 is better on Ents than it is on Himmelsdorf because it's a little bit more frontally in terms of engagements, and the 110 can just get itself into better situations there. And it's not so much about the hull down positions as well, where the IS3 excels. And I think, obviously, now we're playing on 8.9. The IS3 was nerfed, not considerably, but it was a nerf nonetheless. The turret has been changed, it's been remodeled, so it's a lot easier to penetrate, it's a lot easier to hit. So that might be the reason why Ulanska Fantasia have started picking it. I mean, it was almost getting inside, it was almost replacing the IS3 anyway, and now with that nerf as well, it can certainly do a better job than the IS3 in some respects. Maybe they're just pioneers on this. Maybe every team is going to start picking that tank.
We have seen it played a couple of times on Ents as well. It's not like it's a complete surprise, but it's, on Himmelsdorf, obviously, it kind of now becomes a bit of a note that they are playing in 7 IS3 now. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting point. We'll have to really talk to the teams and get their thoughts on it. The double T1's coming out from Team Dignitas, though. The T1 and the 110 we're talking about come out from Ulanska Fantasia. Double 5100 from Team Dignitas, T1 5100 from Ulanska Fantasia. But it does look like Team Dignitas are just going to go for the standard lineup as they did on Himmelsdorf. Didn't work out too well for them there, so I have to see how it works out on Ents this time round. It's the double IS3 from them, and another 110 coming out from Ulanska. So they're going to go for exactly the same lineup they had on Himmelsdorf, the double 110, the IS3, double 5100. And obviously it did work out. Team Dignitas with the 5100 and Ulanska Fantasia with the 5100, making Team Dignitas lineup the triple 5100, double IS3, double T1. And that's a very strong lineup. Yep. The IS3's lineup, the IS3's turret's been nerfed, so always keep that in mind when they're going hull down. We'll have to wait and see if that has a big effect on their gameplay. I just cannot wait to see how this one pans out, because who would have thought Dignitas would not have the advantage going into the second map? It's so rare. But Ulanska Fantasia looking ready, looking prepared with those 110s. I cannot wait to see what they can bring on Ents, because there's so much personality to this map. We've seen some teams really getting under the skin of some of the big dogs by just switching a couple of things up. So guys, let's get that video ready for the one, the only Ents.
Ensk is a simple map on the face of it, but requires the most skillful team play to play properly. Being such a small map at 600 by 600 meters, the areas of attack are confined to through the city, through the railroads, or through the green zone. The fearsome city side, often famed for its fierce firefights, the railroads and green zone areas are hard to play as they have many death alleys. The railroads provide little cover but good sniping locations. Tanks can shoot over and navigate through the trains to ambush and weaken the opposition. When playing Ensk, always keep in mind that teams may try and rush for the cap and not go for the city brawl. Also, take tanks that can both deal a lot of damage and react quickly to situations.
So welcome into the second map here. It will be Ensk, and in the south we will be seeing Ulanska Fantasia, and in the north, in the blue, it's Team Dignitas, and we will be seeing these guys going head-to-head in just a moment. And I'm not sure where I want to put my predictions on this one, because the way they played out on their last map, it was so strange to see, and I can't wait to see how this one unfolds. So let's have a little check-in to see exactly what Ulanska Fantasia would be going for. I questioned how they'd start out, and they are actually using that green zone start, so maybe switching things up, maybe have something in store, maybe use those 110s for something a little bit special. They are obviously running those instead of the IS3 right now. Dignitas opting for the more standard start. But, you know, a fairly even spread, as you can see. Nothing too crazy going on aside from the 110s in the mix. But Amelie has been spotted out first of all. And now Slim the Greatest pushing the way down that 5 line. And we are going to see how this one folds. Because I do believe Ulanska Fantasia have got into their ideal positions now. And they haven't gone to the green zone. They're just sitting around those railroad kind of tracks and trying to play out through that sort of start. And I'm curious to see how this one really pays out for them, because we haven't seen a lot of teams going for that. Cesar pushing all the way up. Ikarium joining him as well. They have got a spot towards Applewell right down by the opposing team's flag. Nice shell coming through there. Applewell will be taken down to 1095. And that's not a bad start at all. Cesar will follow that up as well. 737, beautiful long-range shots coming out from Ulanska Fantasia. Great, great start here. They've worked out where 2 players are. They've started to make their push begin. And this could mean trouble for Dignitas.
Yeah, once again, really just putting the pressure on where Team Dignitas didn't expect it. And Applewell, he's down to 737 in that 51. That's pretty much half health for him. That's going to be a lot of pressure extra when it comes to that firefight, which we always seem to have on Ensk. And it's just really interesting to see how Ulanska Fantasia have just, you know, stepped up here. They've really put the pressure on at the beginning, and this is not going to get any better as they pushed into the cap. Positive's going to get taken out, but it's an interesting thing because Pavel on his own, he's managed to get 2 of the tanks pushed back, although Rabio PL, the team captain of Ulanska Fantasia, is going to respond with a shot onto Pavel. He's down to 1137, but Ikarium, he has been punished a lot. He's on 805, excuse me, he's down to 470 even of that 1150. The armor of the 110 not coming into effect.
Yeah, but look at this. Slim the Greatest is challenging down that IS-3, so it will be a bit of a display of which is better right now. Slim is ignoring Amelie. He's probably going to be punished for that one as he does try and back away, but oh, lovely little bit of defensive play there coming just as he needs it. Mace backing away, Ikarium as well. They're going to try and provide some cover for his teammate, but Slim the Greatest is going very, very low right now. Amelie peers out, does get a shell received from Mace, and Slim's got himself into a touch of cover, and this is not bad play from Ulanska Fantasia at all, but look at this. Shanish coming with a stunning little shot there, connecting perfectly onto Slim, and that 110 is out of there.
Yeah, but that was a really bad play from Ulanska Fantasia because they had that 110 in a kind of unsupported position. Amelie should have gone down. I think the 5100 of Ulanska Fantasia should have been in a better position to deal with that one. Garat will take care of Rabio Pil in that 5100, so that's 2 tier 8 tanks down for Ulanska Fantasia.
Yeah, they are on the back foot here, but let's see what they can do now. The cap was going to be captured by Dignitas, but that got halted. Amelie's still looking for more. He can still see Ikarium's there. You can see the setup they're running with right now as Cesar splits to the right. The T1's been lost as well, and now Ikarium gets a shot received from the side. A pixel-perfect shot coming in from Amelie there, and there's no reply, not at all, and Ikarium's in so much trouble right now. Amelie will be looking for that one more shot. One more shell will do Ikarium right now. A bit of a strong breeze will, but Shanish coming around from the side. That spells danger, and that spells another kill for Dignitas, as now Mace is forced to move in, forced to make a move. He's on full HP, however. Shanish is damaged, as is Amelie. Maybe there could be some trouble, but he did not expect Pavel there as well. He's in a 1v3. There's no way out of this one. 2 shells immediately connect. He's backing off, but the hunting squad are tearing him down one by one. 154 HP left towards it, and that's an easy shot to connect for Pavel, as now just one man stands. The cap point is being pressured. Applewell dancing back and forth with Cesar. And you're seeing Applewell getting another blow towards him, but Cesar is so low, and Applewell's got it. Dignitas lose 1 tank, secure the game, and tell you exactly why they're at the top of that scoreboard.
Oh, very impressive stuff. I think
wow.
What was really interesting about that game is just the fact that Team Dignitas managed to recover from a bad start.
Yeah.
I think if Ulanska Fantasia had just been a little bit more brave and pushed forwards onto those 2, the 5100 and the IS-3, I think they would have actually come out on top. But because they stayed in the middle area between those tracks, eventually Team Dignitas, although it did take them a long time, got around into better positions and managed to take down the weakness, which was that 110 on its own. But if they managed to just push in at the beginning, not giving away that weakness, which obviously every team has, then they would have come out in a lot better situation. Everyone knows when you play Ensk, because it's that train line, those straight lines, they can only be used at the beginning when you kind of have that element of surprise, but you can't.
They didn't have that contingency plan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just a little bit more bravery and they would have really won that one, I think.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame because they really did start out to a great start there. They got some beautiful connection onto Applewell.
Half health from the 5100, yeah.
Yeah, that was so well played. And then I felt as though they almost got a little bit tunnel vision towards him as well, because then immediately they split one player off straight up and they're like, okay, you deal with him and we'll kind of focus on the rest, and it kind of fell apart there. Maybe a bit of inexperience coming into play, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. But, you know, they are obviously facing off against Dignitas. They are still all even as they did pick up the first map, and I do believe they are almost ready to get the tank picks underway in the third one here, which will be Prokhorovka. I'm not sure, they might be having a little bit of trouble, one of their players there, so hopefully we can get an update there. I think Rabio PL is just having a moment, so let's bear with him. Obviously, it's Halloween. There's a few spooky things going on, who knows. But Prokhorovka in mind, let's kind of consider what we've got coming up here, because Dignitas not looking unbeatable, as we've just seen. But then again, you know, is this going to be a map they're ever going to lose on?
They could certainly lose on it. I mean, I would have thought, you know, Ulanska and Fantasia would be better on city maps, which they've obviously proved since they did pretty well on Ensk and won Himmelsdorf. So I think they're going to struggle a little bit more on your open maps, so Steps and Prokhorovka. And I think this is definitely going to go to Team Dignitas. But if we get Abbey or Mines next up, then we'll have an interesting game, because we'll have, you know, a kind of a mixture of both. We'll have the city elements with the cover and the houses, and we'll also have the more the open elements, because there's always, you know, open spaces between those the different kinds of cover and houses you have there. So I'm going to be really looking towards those maps later on in the games. Obviously, we're expecting Team Dignitas to win, and so far I'm a little bit unsure now, because one game apiece. Now in Prokhorovka, if Ulanska and Fantasia has another one of their good little setups here, good little tactics, and they could certainly take it. Yeah,
I thought they might pick up the last map. You know what I mean? The 4-1 that you would have predicted came through that way. But them picking up the first one, I think my 3-2 might actually come a little bit apparent. But they are starting the tank picks, and I don't think we'll be seeing that 110 in play today. Not on Prokhorovka.
Not on Prokhorovka. No way. You know, obviously we're playing on 8.9 now, which was released, well, it was released yesterday, and if you haven't had a chance to play the new team mode, then I would definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I was playing it last night with some of the guys from OM, and really that's going to be an interesting setup, because you see the 110s and the IS3s and all those kind of things being, you know, used on Prokhorovka where they wouldn't usually be used, because you can't pick the map. So it's kind of strange to see that, you know, some teams pick your T69s and stuff, where on a map like Prokhorovka against IS3s, you're always going to struggle, because you're shooting at longer ranges and you're shooting at tanks with a lot more armor as well. So tank picking has begun. The T1 AMX 3090 is going to be the first one for Ulanska Fantasia, double T1 for Team Dignitas, T1 T69 for Ulanska Fantasia, and the MX 3090 T69 for Team Dignitas. So both teams just going for your standard mixture of the Tier 8 media tanks, the T69, and obviously that French light tank, the MX 3090.
Yeah, indeed, and I do like the addition of the stats. You can see this one has been actually banned out so much more than Himmelsdorf, for example. And I'm kind of curious as to why. It's become such a, you know, a normal kind of thing to my eyes, but why do you think some of these teams aren't favouring it anymore? It's
not really because it's not favoured. It's more because Himmelsdorf, every single team can beat every other single team on it, you know, and with Prokhorovka, if you're, let's say, I don't know, a team like Ulanska Fantasia, who's not known to do well on Prokhorovka, plays a team like WoT Pro, where they've had 12 wins, 0 losses on it, then you think, wow, let's not play this map, let's ban this one out. That's really why it's being banned, because some teams are just on the next level. And the AMX 3090 T69 is going to come out from both teams here, making it so far for Ulanska and Fantasia an AMX 3090, a double T1, a T69 ×2, and an AMX 3090 ×2 even. So last pick from Ulanska and Fantasia, it's going to be that Pershing. Obviously, we've seen it more and more in these games. It's really becoming a mainstay, as well as that 416, but that's more picked on steps where you don't have to worry so much about gun depression, apart from if you're heading over towards that trench side. But before that, Team Dignitas picked the MX 3090 and T69. So I think Team Dignitas are just going to go for triple T69 or triple MX 3090. They obviously like that penetrative power on Prokhorovka. It's a very important factor you have to keep in mind. You know, if you can have a tank which is fast enough to get from one side of the map to the other very quickly, then it's useful. But they're going to go for the Pershing. So both teams really being mirrored up here with the double AMX 3090, double T69, and the Pershing, as well as obviously those 2 T1s in the mix as well. Played by Stalker and Positive for Team Dignitas, and Atreus and Corzo for Ulanska Fantasia.
I'm so curious to see who's going to get the advantage now. They are so close, and that last map wasn't exactly a whitewash. As you mentioned, Ulanska Fantasia had a great start, but the ending just didn't go their way. But I think Dignitas might have just woken up a touch. Maybe they've had a little bit of a rude awakening, should I say, on Himmelsdorf, and suddenly realised, okay, we cannot take this one lightly. So currently all tied up. At least the deciding map of who's going to get the advantage will be coming up in just a moment. Who's your prediction here?
I'm going to have to go for Team Dignitas.
It's a
You'll be
safe
crazy if
Yeah,
you
I was going to say Ulanska Fantasia, but I think I'm with you on that one. So guys, let's get you that video for the one, the only Prokhorovka.
Prokhorovka, a large map at 1,000 by 1,000 meters which allows teams to stretch their legs and artillery to test their skills. There are 3 primary routes of attack: over the left tree road, the middle area and towards the town. The tree road is very open and flat but has a very large number of bushes and trees that provide good cover if you're not shooting. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. Both teams are fairly symmetrical and only offer small hills and bushes as cover. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. The railroad that splits the map has a large number of bushes running alongside it that provides good cover and the occasional route of attack in the village and hill area. Teams should look towards taking fast tanks and artillery as they complement each other on this expansive map.
So welcome into the third map here. We will be seeing Ulanska Fantasia up in the north in that golden yellow, all tied up, all even with Team Dignitas in the south. So let's see what they have in store so far.
Now, Team Dignitas just pushing up towards the middle, as we would expect. They got Garat, Shanish, and Povel going up there. And it's really about just getting the initial damage on, the initial information. Apowal's going to spot out Ikari and the MX-1390s. Don't have reload, obviously. That's very important to keep in mind, because if they did, they'll be able to punish a lot more, but the T-69s will. And honestly, Team Dignitas, their aggressiveness has really paid off. They got the better positions, they got the higher ground, while Ulanska and Fantasia are definitely further down. And eventually, they're going to get punished for it. Also, Armali and Apowal pushing up towards the north, the A6, A7 area. They'll be able to get shots into the back of the T-69s, but they have got Corzo on the side just to spot them out, which is going to be pretty interesting, because if Ulanska and Fantasia have tanks in the right positions, they'll be able to punish them. We'll just have to wait and see for that.
Yeah, Karium and Corzo there, as you mentioned, both trying to keep eyes on the flank possibly coming out from Team Dignitas, but right now Garat is still just kind of niggling away at the opposition. Rabio's been taken down to a 1-1-3-9. Slim the Greatest receiving a shell as well, and oh my word, these guys are in trouble already. Slim the Greatest going low, as is Rabio. This crossfire is absolutely annihilating them one by one. Povel's already picked up Slim the Greatest, and now they're trying to use the corpse of their dead tank teammate to cover them off, but to no avail. Rabio down to 4-1-9, make it 1-7-9. It's one swift killing blow from the Pershing in the hands of Garat, as now Mace very much all alone with 2 tanks staring him down from the right, 2 from the left, and you do not want to be facing either of these right now. Mace trying to back away, but there's no escaping it. Povel pushing in. That T-69's depression just slams him to the ground, and that's game over there for Mace. And now just 4 members, Ulanska Fantasia, tried to pick up the pieces.
It was a little bit of a strange push from Ulanska Fantasia, proving once again, if you don't play Prokhorovka aggressively, you're going to get punished. And I just don't understand what they were thinking then. I mean, you can never put tanks there if you don't have the backup from the MX-1390s. You either got to commit with absolutely everything, go up the middle, and try and win the battle. They didn't even challenge the middle. They just let Team Dignitas have it, and that was just going to go awfully. And what annoys me even more is that the MX-1390s were actually spotted going up the north, so they must have had a really clear idea of what Team Dignitas were doing, and they knew that they're going to get punished and they're going to lose for it. And on top of that, the MX-1390s, when they did get a lot of damage onto that, was from the T-69s. They were even spreading the damage out across the whole tanks. They weren't focusing one down. So you have 2 tanks on 150 HP for no reason at all.
Yeah, and these last 2, they're trying to battle their way out of here, but with 7 minutes left and Dignitas having almost all of their team up, excluding Armali in that 1390 really, they're not in the position they can really demand much, as Povel's moving in, as are most of Dignitas, and it's just a matter of time in my eyes. Cesar is trying to dart in and out and find a way to almost safety, but there is no escaping it, is there?
Oh, Shani, she's going to be the one to deal the final bit of damage. You might actually get taken down because Krasani Netfo is still on 100% HP.
Yeah, Cesar is sitting fairly pretty in that 1390. He's got a good bit of line of sight coming down. Garat, however, has just obliterated Ikarium, as now Justice going blow for blow with Shanish, but Shanish has backup there, and Dignitas are going to be taking this one, surely. Cesar has no way out of this. The cap is even being put on. Just trying to get a shell through. Cesar on 175. It's a matter of time. Garat's joined the party, but it's Apowal to take him down, and Dignitas pick up their second map. And look, damn damn good on Prokhorovka.
Another nice little performance from them, very polished.
Definitely.
They weren't really challenged at many points. I think they kind of even, you know, they knew they were going to win it regardless if they lost their MX 1390s. That's why they kept them out for so long on that train line. But I think generally a good performance for them. But Ulanska Fantasia, you know, they need to learn the lesson that you either go over towards that the road with the trees along the side, or you just go up with the middle with all your T69s or your MX 1390s and really just challenge for it. You can't sit back, because then you're going to get punished. Team Dignitas knew exactly what they needed to do, and you just need to get the flank around with the MX 1390s, make sure they have the tanks in the middle to deal with the extra angle of attack, the extra vector of attack, and obviously the T69s, they're going to punish you with so much damage in such a short amount of time, especially if you have 3 of them along with a Pershing, then yeah, you're going down pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a swift removal of the opposition, but I do believe they're almost ready for the next map, which will be Ruinberg. We can have a bit of a talk about that one, because it's a bit of a hybrid, as we mentioned. So far, if we take into account Ensk and Prokhorovka, it's going to be Dignitas, but then there's always Himmelsdorf in the back of my mind. That really, you know, Ulanska Fantasia showed some class, but I feel from that point on, Dignitas just stepped it up another gear. You know what I mean? It's like Ulanska Fantasia gave it that 100%. They tried really hard, they played the situations really well, but Dignitas after that just went, all right, guys, let's really pick it up now. Let's just show them what we're made of, and I feel as though Ruinberg's going to go the same way. I think they are ready for those tank picks, so let's dive into that one and get ourselves looking towards what they're going to be picking here, and what sort of choices do you think we're going to be coming out?
Oh, well, a mixture of the T69s and the Pershings and a 5100, obviously the MX 1390 for that middle spot. It won't quite have reload to do any damage there, but we've really seen the teams just kind of piling into the middle, and just whoever wins the firefight, regardless of whatever kind of tactics they have, will end up taking the battle. That's ultimately the kind of thing these teams are going for. Double T1 is going to be far from Team Dignitas. And I think, although, you know, that could happen, we've seen Ulanska Fantasia actually push towards the city with many of their tanks. They've really been a city-orientated team in the past. They might actually go for something like an IS-3. They might go for a KV-5 or something along those lines.
And they're not bad at playing it at all, actually. We've seen them actually really catching a lot of teams off guard using that sort of strategy. But I always feel that, you know, Dignitas are prepared. No matter what can be brought out, you know, as a surprise tactic, their backup plans are just impervious almost. Yeah,
they've always got another contingency, and what's really good about that team is even if they don't have a backup plan, the players will just make it up on the fly. You know, they've always got another level of thinking. They always know what they're doing next. They can play as individuals just so superbly and with such class that they don't really have to worry that much about, you know, individual player mistakes and things like that. It's more about the tactics and which they really struggle with, if they struggle with anything. T1 AMX 1390 is going to be the first pick from Ulanska Fantasia, the AMX 1390 T69 for Team Dignitas. So I think they're going to be picking one of those French Tier 8 light tanks. Of course, that's the MX 1390. T1 T69 for Ulanska Fantasia. Just the standard picks here. I think the T69 is pretty much the best tank on this map. It will be quite interesting if one of these two teams actually counterpicks the T69 by taking an IS-3 with, you know, even with you know, gold ammo, the 250 penetration on the M348 ammo, it can't penetrate. You know, the IS-3's frontal armor is impervious in many respects. It bounces a lot. Your T69 might only penetrate 2 out of 4 shells, and that will be even
huge.
That's a big. That takes, you know, 960 damage down to about, you know, less than 400, less than 500, 480 or somewhere thereabouts. And even if you pick something like a 110, then that's going to go down from, you know, 2 shells down to 1 shell. So you got to really start thinking about these counter picks. But T1 T69 for Ulanska Fantasia, T1 T69 AMX 51 from Team Dignitas, AMX 1390 T69 from Ulanska Fantasia. So Ulanska Fantasia actually going for a double AMX 1390 here, which is a little bit unusual. Usually we only see one just for the middle spot. Otherwise, it's not the greatest tank because of the reload time and also the aim down time. And it's not much of a brawler. It's very good getting behind the other team and getting itself into annoying positions. But 1 versus 1 against the T69 is always a little bit tricky. Last pick from Team Dignitas is going to be the T69. Last pick from Ulanska Fantasia is, of course, the MX 5100.
So nothing too surprising there, and I'd really like to see some of those counterpicks coming into play, as you mentioned. That would be an absolutely beautiful sight if that ever became a possibility. But apparently not going to be seeing that, but it's something we could look towards to, if, those T69s really do come into that strong bit of play there. And if they do start really making an impact, it could certainly be something we see the teams looking towards in the future. So I'd love to see that coming into play, but at the moment, it does seem as though they're going for those standard picks, as you mentioned. And, well, Ulanska Fantasia need this one to get back on kilt right now. They are 2-1 down. They picked up the first. They've lost 2 back-to-back now. Pressure is on them. One more for Dignitas, and they've picked this one up. And Ruinberg, what a map to do it on. We've seen some real individual class shining through on this map. Teams adapting so much already. But I'm not sure what we'll see from Ulanska Fantasia. Maybe the city presence could catch them off guard. But we can only find out as the teams are ready. So let's get that video rolling for you guys.
Ruinberg is one of our newest city maps, and it's fairly large, being 800 by 800 meters. There are 3 main routes of attack: the roads leading to the city, the road going through the middle, and the village area. Each of these have 2 important areas to control. The city has very large roads and plenty of opportunities for teams to flank. The long roads also provide for good sniping areas as well as corner shooting. Teams often push through the village area, and once controlled, the team can move on to the enemy's base. You should pick heavy tanks with high alpha damage for corner sniping, as well as a faster tank for the middle spot.
So, welcome into the 4th map. As Joe kindly told us, it will be Ruinberg. And let's see what we've got going down here. In the south, it's going to be Ulanska Fantasia. Currently with only 1 map beside them, they have to pick this one up if they want to stay in this game to challenge Team Dignitas, who have 2 behind them. So let's find out what Dignitas can do, as they will be starting in the north in the blue. And you can see what they're up to so far.
Team Dignitas just pushing up towards the middle F road. Obviously, that's our half moon circle will be their first route. That's pretty much a good tactic for them, because they've got the 3 T69s, which will have reload after about 25 seconds, so in about 10 seconds time. Well, Ulanska Fantasia, they have the MX-3090s, which are always in a very bad position. They won't have reload, and they're going to struggle with that.
Yeah, I'm looking to see what they can actually do here. They go for that city presence, which we said was a possibility, really, with these guys. They do seem to like playing that every now and then, so I want to see what they're going to be bringing now. Rabio PL going to be going straight in. He's spotted out positive. That's not a big surprise there. So that's the T69 taking him down. So let's keep on board with these guys and see what they can bring. They're going fairly aggressive. Cesar, Rabio, and Icarium all making their way across the E-line, so into the opposing half side of the map here, but still curious to see what their late game sort of strategies are, because that seems to be where they fell apart before, and Dignitas are certainly known for how good they are in those moments. Yeah,
they've always got a backup plan, as we were talking about, and they're going to be sending the M5100 back to their base. They're expecting some sort of push through the city, which is definitely a good call. They got Armali back there, they got Shanish back there as well in the T69, and obviously Pavel as well. So that's 3 of their main tanks, all sitting back in the base, ready to receive what Ulanska Fantasia have. And to be honest, Team Dignitas is not a team that's going to fall for this very often, but Ulanska Fantasia might just overcome it with numbers.
We're going to find out. They've got 5 players present, but Rabio's already received 1 shell from Armali there, just firing down from the nice advantageous position. That's caught Cesar off as well. That's 2 tanks now damaged with very little reply. Only a tier 1 falling for Dignitas, well, 2 of them, but still, it's a minor problem. But right now, the base is now being captured, but Rabio, Cesar still trying to hold them back. They're allowing Slim the Greatest to be the bait almost. He's tucked into the corner, unable to be spotted by Armali unless he pushed out around the side, which would allow the likes of Rabio and Cesar to get there, but right now Rabio's in trouble. He's gone down to Pavel. Mace falls as well. This is a terrible turn of events for Ulanska Fantasia. Cesar finally gets back up and rolling. Atris does come in with that 1390, but I feel as though it's almost too little too late. But the split now coming into effect. But can they get around? Look at the flank coming in from the back. Apoao and Garat have absolutely ripped them to shreds. They split them in half. Icarium still flying, but he's trying to do what he can. He's trying to get around. He's being rammed down by a T69. Even the tier 1's trying to join in. Icarium cannot escape right now. The cap has been halted. Dignitas have found out what Ulanska Fantasia are up to, and they've just absolutely ruined it into pieces. This is unbelievable play from them. Garou on the flank, Pavel on the flank, Slim the Greatest, and Atris left alive, but with very little to do. Well,
they might do a little bit of damage, because Atris has got 100% HP, and I believe he's just trying to reload. He's going to engage onto Armali.
He's going to try what he can. As you mentioned, 1154 HP against him. However, Pavel's mopping up his remaining teammates. He's now left in a 1v3. He's got to get the hat-trick here if he wants a chance, but Popple's taking it away, and Dignitas secure their victory with a firm grip over Ruinberg. That was beautiful play by them.
What was really good is that they were down a little bit in one stage, and I think Ulanska Fantasia, they actually had a good thing going for them in many respects, but it's just ultra short-sighted play.
Yep.
They were going for the cap, they were going for that engagement, which I think they thought Team Dignitas wouldn't expect, which is just short-sighted, full stop.
Yeah.
But then you should expect Team Dignitas just go from the other side, which they did. They sent the AMX 1390s behind. And what they should have done is had tanks ready to deal with that.
Yeah, they just got completely caught off guard by the flank.
I don't know why they did. I mean, have tanks ready for that, be in a better position than them as soon as they come around the corner, just obliterate them instead of being caught out randomly. And Icarium, yeah, he managed to take down one T69, which was very nice.
Yeah.
But if they just took down both those tanks because they had the turrets in the right direction or in better positions, then those two tier 8 tanks would have been out. And regardless of the fact that if they lost two tier 8 tanks in that crossfire from Armali, they would have been very good. And I'm not sure exactly what the AMX 1390's job was in the middle. You know, an AMX 1390 sniping is never a safe bet because of the aim down time between shots. It's very long. You have to wait not only for the 3 seconds between the shots, the reload time, but also about another 2 seconds on top of that just for the aim down. So it's about 5 seconds between shots, which never makes a good sniper.
No, indeed, and it was a real shame because, as you said, once again, it seems that Ulanska Fantasia have that great initial idea, but the final bit of execution just seems to kind of crumble away from them. But maybe they can kind of polish that out and kind of work out, you know, the end kind of game towards their strategies. Yeah. And it's probably going to be a matter of time until we see those guys really challenging. Because I did like that T1 play. They're a bit cheesy, but still, they forced the hand of Dignitas. They made them play it and made Armali really kick into gear. He hit like 2k damage in that game, so clearly showing he can handle the pressure when it comes down to it. And the final map will be Steps here, and that'll be up in just a second once they get those tank picks underway. And I don't know how I feel about Steps at the moment. I don't see what Ulanska Fantasia can do, because Dignitas always look good on this, but there's always a chance of a bit of interesting play to come out. Yeah,
I mean, Steps it's an open canvas, isn't it? You know, you can do whatever you want on it. There's not really a standard way of playing it. I mean, okay, from the north, you might go over towards the trench more often, and from the south, you might go over towards the rock area more often. But honestly, it's more about just playing in your kind of own team as opposed to really conforming to what other people do. And that's always a very good sign to see from these two teams. But we're just going to be looking towards tank picking. I believe they're getting ready to get underway with that. So we're expecting to see 416s.
I was going to say, do you think we're going to see that double 416, or just maybe one, or how do you think these guys are going to go about it?
Yeah, I mean, Ulanska Fantasia have already proved that the team willing to try different setups.
Oh, the 110s.
Exactly. So maybe they're going to go for the 416s as well. And if they have to improve on any kind of map, it is these open maps. Yeah. So I'm not even sure if it's really relevant what tanks they pick. It's more about how they play them. I mean, you can win with a T32 on Steps if you play it properly. You just need to have the right kind of attitude towards the map as opposed to anything. And I think the standard tactic, the standard lineup with the AAA MX 3090 double T69, it kind of covers all bases. No one can turn around with that lineup and say it's bad and there's a better lineup to it. I mean, the 416, like you might saw in the highlight video, the 416 being in the position it was, FC Dynamo.
Beautiful.
Absolutely fantastic.
Him an international.
That 416 position was just perfectly played. It was exactly the right position for him because he could snipe out on that 320 damage, just absolutely obliterated, alongside the MX 1390's damage as well. So MX 1390 T1 for Ulanska Fantasia, double T1 for Team Dignitas. Obviously, some teams opt for the T1 alongside the MX 1390 just because it doesn't give away the tank picks as much, because then you can still pick a tier 7. But at the end of the day, you're going to pick 5 tier 8 tanks. That's how it goes these days. We don't really see artillery in it. Yeah. We don't see artillery plus T2 lights. We don't see the T71 anymore because we don't have artillery. So artillery, if it was reintroduced into the game as a kind of viable option, then definitely would see it a lot more viable, a lot more diverse lineups here.
I'd quite like to see that back in play in some ways. But I really like the play we're getting right now. It's that aggressive, fast-paced play that's just really coming into effect. And I thought it was a bit of a one-off watching the offline finals, but it seemed to have seeped through into this season. Yeah,
I mean, artillery is always a bit of a contentious topic. Personally, being an artillery player from beta, I really want to see artillery back in the game. I want to see it from the Sturmpanzer 2 at tier 4 up to the GV Panther at tier 7. I want to see you know, for every nation buffed by 10%. You know, that's my. If I go to Wargaming Minsk, I'll be like, please. And what's quite funny is that the guys at Minsk, you know, people like Serb and Storm and Overlord, all those guys, they're all artillery players. They're all, you know, massive S51 fans, and yeah, and they must be crying in their hearts a little bit because of what they've done.
Deep down.
T1 AMX 3090, double AMX 3090 for Team Dignitas, T69 Pershing for Ulanska Vintagia, T69 416 for Team Dignitas. Last pick from Ulanska Vintagia is going to be the T69. So what's interesting really is that Team Dignitas has picked the 416, and being such a brainy team and one which really theory crafts about their lineups, and now picking the 416, it kind of does lend the fact that this 416 is actually the best tank to pick as a viable option on steps. So definitely a good sign there. Obviously, WoT Pro still, you know, lean away from it, but they started to creep in as well with the 416. Last pick from Team Dignitas with the MX 3090, making their lineup a triple MX 3090, double T1, double T69, and obviously that 416. Well, Ulanska Vintagia something a little bit slower, a little bit more HP though, a little bit more survivable. The double T69, the MX 3090 ×2, and the Pershing as well as those two T1s.
And as you said, it kind of cements when a team like Dignitas picks up the 416 into players. It really does have its place in the competitive scene, which I love seeing. So guys, let's get that last video lined up for you. It will be Steps.
Steps is the other open map in the map pool, being 1,000 by 1,000, having no urban areas. There are 3 primary routes of attack: the trench, the rocky area to the left, and the middle road. The road offers direct routes to the enemy's base, but despite having a staggering amount of cover along the way, you are vulnerable to attack from all sides. The trench area provides for great engagements as it's only a few hills and rocks to cover the teams. Most of the engagements occur around this rock, the winner of which gains a crucial foothold on the map. The rocky left area provides the most cover for attacking and defending teams. It's essential that you pick tanks that can traverse from one side of the map to the other rapidly. They also must be able to get to the various key locations as quickly as possible. That is the key to victory.
So welcome into the final map here. It will be Steps, and we will be seeing what we can see what Ulanska Vintagia can do here, because really it's their proving point now. And for me, Dignitas should have this one, but still there's room for movement. But sitting at a 3-1 scoreline against them, what can they do here?
They just have to try and make something up as they go along, something, you know, decent, and have to think about their weakest point at the moment, which is looking towards the end of the game as opposed to just their first move. Team Dignitas really filtering off towards the left side with pretty much all their tanks. You can see the MX 3090s in the background, and pretty much the T69s are going to be just doing the firepower, you know, providing that support. Ulanska Vintagia also doing the standard thing, going towards the trench. They've pretty much gathered the fact that Team Dignitas isn't over towards the trench at all, so they're going to be moving in very quickly. And this is pretty much just the standard start we see from Steps from the south and north. One team pushing up towards the trench, obviously the north side, and one team pushing over towards that mountain side from the south. Team Dignitas, though, playing pretty aggressively. You can see how far they've gone. They're really wanting to try maybe the WoT Pro tactic of putting tanks up on towards the mountains, obviously liking that one, but also a little bit of a gamble, because if Ulanska Vintagia had tanks in the middle or just defending their base, say the T69s, and they would have just absolutely pummeled these AMX 3090s as they try and cross the road. But that was a good gamble. It's definitely paid off for them, and they've got themselves right behind the side of Ulanska Vintagia.
Yeah, indeed. But then again, 2 of their tanks had been spotted, so those 3090s had been found out, but I'm curious to see if that one pays off, and they've now just spotted out Shanish, and I believe, I'm not too sure who that was with him. It's Positive over there, so Slim the Grey should be falling down any time now. But then again, Ulanska Vintagia have full knowledge of where Dignitas are.
It's always good to have information. That's the best thing. You know, if you have the information, then you can start coming up with a good plan. It doesn't matter what, how skillful your players are compared to the other team or whatever. If you have the information and you have that knowledge, then you can just make it work to your into your favor. And the other team, if it doesn't have so much information, then then they can't react to anything. You know, have no idea where you come from, and they have no idea where you are. They have no idea what you want to do. And you know, okay, this is Steps where the T1s aren't so useful, but they certainly do contribute a lot. You can see them pushing into the cap now. That's the double AMX 1390s.
Yeah, what is going on? These guys are going a little bit crazy right now. They're going to go for the cap straight away. Not too sure why, but maybe trying to draw Dignitas out of their comfort zone, possibly leaving the heavier firepower back by the usual section from 7 to 0 line. But Ulanska Fantasia looking like they want to get things going here. But Dignitas are going to be making their way back here, but that's all they wanted. They want to pull Dignitas away from that safety zone.
That was a nice little move. That was really
well
brainy
played.
there. I mean, they literally waited perfect amount of time until Armely and Positive were right in the middle. I'd hate to be Team Dignitas right now because they made them look like absolute fools. And they're going to be escaping back down into that trench and really finding another way in. That was a nice play. They got their cap up to about 52%, but they haven't reacted on that. I'm not exactly sure why. They pulled 2 tanks away, but for what reason? They will be able to get back Positive and Armely back into the positions they were heading up before the cap started, or maybe even better positions because they've had a little bit more time to think about it. But Team Dignitas, they are sitting right next to the cap of Ulanska Fantasia, but they can't go for it because it is in the middle of a field, and Ulanska Fantasia do have those hold down positions, and they'll just be able to snipe anything out. But what Team Dignitas has is the 2 T1s, while Ulanska Fantasia still only has 1.
Yeah, those T1s really can come into effect at this point, but we'll find out how that one plays down right now because, as you said, I'm still so impressed with Ulanska Fantasia's foresight to do that little play with those 1390s there. Really, really incentive. But let's see what's going on. Once again, we are seeing the 1390s split off, and surely Dignitas will not fall for it a second time. There's... I don't know. I'm not too sure, but they're going for it. They're certainly trying to get the Dignitas side out of those really turtle down positions, even in the aggressive kind of area that they've occupied. But this time they're going somewhere else. Cesar has taken down the opposing team's T1, so it's pretty much all even now. The exchange being evened out. Atris and Icarium now looking down that central line, that central gravel road towards where Dignitas are waiting. These guys could do some damage here. They're actually going to be roping in Team Dignitas if they can get to the right places. This could mean trouble. And here we go. Positive has been caught out. The turret is nowhere near where these guys are, but who's going to be the first one to land the shell? It's going to be Positive, but Armely gets one back, and we are going to be seeing at least Ulanska Fantasia taking the initiative here.
Armely, he's already down to 872, and Garat, he's down to 386 as well. But Icarium, he's taking a lot of damage from this 416.
Yeah, but here comes Mason, Rabio, PL. They are not going to leave these guys to battle out on their own, but what can they do? He's in that T69. He needs to get these shells connected. Oh, he's missed Pobble. That is not good. That's going to mean that the pressure will be on those 1390s. Mace is now completely negated. Icarium right into the action. He's down to 50 HP. He's going to take Shanish at least a touch low, but still, they are being outnumbered, focused down in the wrong way, and Atris is all on his own. He's in a 1v3, and Rabio and Mace can do nothing about it. Finally, he will fall, but Rabio and Mace now need to back away. They've got nothing to say about this matter. Pobble's still there. Garat's still there. Shanish, Armely, every single member has been able to stay alive in this situation, whereas Ulanska Fantasia have been picked off and taken down.
I have no idea what those 2 T69s were doing there. They had Povel right in the middle with his pants down, and he's only 175 HP. They could have easily killed in them, and they honestly... Ulanska Fantasia just had the better tactic, and to be honest, they should have won with it. There's no reason why Povel's still alive. Garat was in cover, okay? But it was just like bad thinking again. I mean, there's no reason why these AMX 1390s are alive. They might still be able to come back at it. Kazani Netfro from the side.
Yes, Cesar's in a great place. He got that shot down towards Armely. He received one back from Povel. But bear in mind, he's got 2 teammates still standing. He could do with some help here in a 1v3 pretty much. But he's teasing them out, trying to keep their attention towards him. Maybe while Rabio and Mace find a bit of a weak spot, but Cesar's done it. He's taken down Povel, challenging out Shanish. He could get Shanish down. He's done it. That's 2 in a row. But will he get the 3rd? Armely still stands. Rabio's trying to battle it out with him. But this is possibly a comeback from Ulanska Fantasia.
Even with the mistakes they made, because it was such a good little move from them, they can still win this one. Garat's down to 131. The only one who can really take this back for them is Armely. He's a newish player for their team as well, so he's got to prove himself, but he's taking damage from Rabio.
He is, but look at Cesar moving on towards Garat. But the action, as you said, is with Rabio trying to dance it out with Armely, who's backing away, using that defilade of the hill. And Rabio's just strolling off, going to join down here with Cesar and challenge out Garat, who's just over the other side of that railroad. And they're trying to play this one smart. They've got 3 players to take down. They've got 3 themselves. How can they go about this one? It's about that tentative play, that cautious play. Kozo is moving in that tier 1. It's got a connection there as well. That's worrying. But Cesar now moving in. He's not holding back for a second. One shot's going to do it. He's got 4 now. He's on the quad kill, in for the reload. Now looking for the likes of Armley and Applewell. He could get a clean slate here.
It would be very nice if he could do that. He could prove himself as the better player in Ulanska Fantasia. And despite the mistakes they made, they're definitely getting themselves back into this one. Armley's left with 2 tier 8 tanks to deal with, one with 4 kills and both with about 500 HP. Obviously that F3 gun can do 1,440 with if it connects all 6 shells. So he could potentially do this, but it's going to be very tricky. If Ulanska Fantasia split up, then they could get taken down. But they're playing it pretty cleverly. They got all the cover they need in the world, and they've got themselves in line of sight as well. And Armley, he's got to be careful because he doesn't have quite as much information as he would like. He doesn't really know where they are. He only knows the general direction that they're towards, the D1, D2 area. And it's just going to be about if he can get a good angle them, if he can get a good vector of attack.
Yeah, but right now he has been found out, and Rabio is staring him down, seconds away from being eliminated. He will back away, but Ulanska Fantasia are moving in for the kill here. Rabio splitting left, Cesar and Corzo splitting right. They're going to rope him round, and Rabio puts him to bed. And my word, Ulanska Fantasia, they're actually going to do this one. Only Applewell stands, and with all the mistakes, as you said, they pulled it together when it mattered.
Yeah, really nice. I mean, really, really good. And it kind of proves that despite the lack of hitting of shells, you can still win. And I think, they might have taken a leaf out of Mousesport's book. Mousesports can't hit a barn door, but they still win against, the likes of WoT Pro and Team Dignitas. That's because they have the better tactics and the better just way of thinking around the games. And once again, proving that tactics are definitely not out of this game. They're definitely the most important factor. If you come up with a good strategy, which was for Ulanska Fantasia, push those 2 MX-1390s behind, and then come from the front with the T-69s to put pressure on the other direction. But Applewell, he's going to get taken down, obviously, being in the T1. He'll be no problem, and a good win for Ulanska Fantasia.
Wow. Ulanska Fantasia, my God, where did that come from? That was a really bit of interesting play from these guys. If only they'd been doing that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it was like Himmelsdorf. They played really well on that map, and then they played well on steps. But what was really nice about that is that we know that they can play city maps well, and they can play those open maps well. So they got all the bases covered. But they just need that next level.
That one little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. They need to be, first of all, working on their individual player skill, hitting those targets when they're under a lot of pressure, because a team like Team Dignitas, who have 3 seasons of the World of Tanks Pro League under their belt, they have Starladder from 2012, they have loads of experience. They're going to be having minimal amounts of adrenaline going through them, so they can always hit the shells, they can always stay cool under pressure. Well, Ulanska Fantasia, when they're going forwards and that, they have the advantage, they're going to be like, yes, we're winning. And that can be the worst thing to think.
Yeah, and Joy, it does remind me of how we were talking about some of the top teams at the very start of the season, that execution was their biggest problem. Yeah. And it's impressive to see Ulanska Fantasia already kind of at that level in my eyes. They're already getting up to that point, and I want to see what they can bring. If the season was, let's say, 30 match days longer, I'd see them closing into a lot of kind of more established teams and really proving their point. But what a great first game, 3-2. Dignitas obviously winning
Your prediction's right as well.
I know, for once. My God, I was like, no, this is never going to happen. But yeah, I was right, 3-2. But Dignitas not looking shaky. But I think, credit where it's due, just Ulanska Fantasia playing well.
Yeah, I mean, Team Dignitas, is Team Dignitas. They never really have a bad day. But I think that if Ulanska Fantasia had been replaced by, I don't know, Mousesports or D-Nova even, they would have certainly won that. But yeah, no discredit to Ulanska Fantasia, just a really nice little team coming together. And I think I can safely say that they're, along with playing Ducks, the 2 teams that have come in a season and actually prove themselves from the get-go. We've had a lot of teams coming into the season and they've always struggled at the beginning, and then they start getting into their stride in season 2 and they start proving themselves a lot there. But they always seem to struggle in season 1, but Ulanska Fantasia certainly bucking that trend.
Yeah, really liking what they're doing. So obviously the ending score was 3-2 to Dignitas. But Ulanska Fantasia really did well, and my prediction was right, but I can only imagine how many of you guys at home believed in me. That is what I'm going to pose a question to, is how many of you had faith in my prediction? So Melly, how many people out there actually believed what I was saying?
What a match.
It was
really, Ulanska Fantasia stepping up at the start of the game and actually managing to take the second map of Team Dignitas. That's my heart is racing. I kid you not. And well, to be honest, Lauren, at the start of the match, well, before the start of the match, close to no one had faith in Ulanska Fantasia.
You scumbags.
The vote for Team Dignitas was up to 90%. And, well, the former 10% of Ulanska Fantasia climbed up to 25% after the first map. And, yeah, well, the predictions in the comments below were kind of the same. They all predicted like a 5-0, 4-1 max for Team Dignitas, and I actually saw like 2 people guessing the right outcome, I guess.
People should believe in me more, is what I'm saying.
That's true.
Believe in me.
I imagine them sitting in front of their screens and shaking their head. Oh, Lauren, you little noob. But you are right.
How?
That's not my thought, though.
Oh, you're
you
just
know
blaming
that.
on the other people.
Exactly,
I see.
exactly.
Smart to play. Smart to play.
Well, to you two, as former professional gamers, how does it feel to get in such a match, like the underdogs, and actually managing to take the first round of your enemies?
It's an incredible feeling. Obviously, it's as we said before, the fear of a name can outweigh the actual practical implementation of that team. It's like, my God, we just picked up a game against Dignitas on Himmelsdorf. What the hell did we just do so right? But it's the biggest threat. You know, being an underdog team, it's very hard to predict the tactics they'll be using, and it just worked in their favor. Team Dignitas got caught out. They buckled down, which they always do. They're not going to let that slip. That's why they are at the top of this league. But it's just brilliant to watch. I love seeing an underdog story, and it's always really good to see it actually coming through the way it should, to them kind of upsetting the very top teams with these surprising tactics that even impressed us. That 13-90 split on that final map to kind of draw Dignitas away from the better positions that they were in was really well done. And just incentive like that, if they did that more often, they would be a really dangerous team, and they certainly wouldn't be the underdogs anymore. So really, really great to see.
Thank you. And if you have any questions to experts, just head over to Twitter and tweet them by the use of hashtag WoT Pro League. Simple as it is. And I will be, of course, rewarding 3 tweets of a day. So if you don't have, we don't want to hear only questions. We also like hearing your opinions, your whatever's on your heart. Share your thoughts with us. It's always nice to hear from you. And I also want to remind you again of our beautiful pumpkin carving contest. And we tried our best.
They look really sad now. I swear to God, they're looking worse as the show goes on. Like, I'm going to have to like colour them in or something so they don't look as dire. It's not going well.
I don't know about yours. I think mine's quite nice, to be honest.
Yours can
you
only
have like
improve,
a candle.
to be fair. Yours can't get worse. You've hit like a low point and it's just kind of sitting there.
How dare you?
Well, seeing the candle is, I don't know. It's different. We like different things. So well done, Ollie. But we also know
that sarcasm in that voice.
Well, we also know there are a lot of people that actually can do this better. We tried our best. We can't say any different, and we want to see your work. So you have like around 1 week time. Hand in your predictions. Head over to Facebook, to our Facebook page, facebook.com/WoT Pro League, and check out the making of pictures. They're actually pretty nice. Like Lauren holding a full hand.
Oh, it was horrible.
Of plain pumpkin in her hand. Yeah, it was. Well, of course, following our social media platforms is always a good idea, because we're always putting up new challenges and new news and new stuff for the grabs, stakes en masse, and just head over there, be part of our community, and that will definitely. Why are you giggling, Ollie? I just heard you in my ear.
Ollie is not a serious person.
Well, we will be constantly putting up.
It's just these pumpkins,
man. I think it's the smell of the pumpkin that makes
maybe making me cough. I don't know what's going on in my throat. I don't know.
Oh,
it's not going well.
Oh boy. Well, that's Facebook, and of course Twitter is definitely something to follow as well, because some of you may already notice I'm keeping you updated, even if you're not able. I don't know.
It's Halloween.
I can't talk. Even if you're not able to watch the stream, so be part of our community. That's all to say.
I just found a picture of Ollie's like ESL logo he made, which is dire. We'll get that one up on the screen for you in just a moment, don't you worry. That'll be after the break at some point. But still, in the mention of the break, we will be heading over to one. So guys, do stay tuned. We'll be back in 5. Hopefully you will be as well. welcome once again to the WoT Pro League Season 3, Matchday 15.